Hello, hello. How are you? Good? Excellent. Now I'm going to talk about a deep topic, sign language. And this sign language we're discussing, if we try to dive into it, really take the time to explore all its elements, we realize it's vast. Explaining it completely right now will be impossible. We just don't have the time. We could talk for years and never finish. So, what we can do is pick a few small things and go over them. That way, I might be able to help you, especially if, for example, you are working on composing a song in sign language. The first thing we need to keep in mind is that in this video, we'll divide sign into two types. The first type we'll call arbitrary signs, as you can see here on the screen. What do we mean by arbitrary signs? They're the ones that, when you see them, don't show any visual resemblance to their meaning or referent. There's no direct relationship between the forms of the signs and what it represents. What does that look like? Let's look at an example. The sign for means ready, this one you see on the screen. If someone sees these signs for the first time, they likely won't find any connection between the signs and mental image. Most likely, they'll ask what it's supposed to mean, because there's not obvious relationship between the forms and the concept. Another example, the sign for error. If someone sees it for the first time in a meeting and notice that people keep repeating error, a big error, they probably won't know what's being communicated. In fact, they'll likely ask what that hand movement means. Another one, the sign that represents decision. If I am signing and someone says decision, the person might still not be able to link that sign to a mental image of deciding. Yet another, the sign for obedience. You and I might understand it because we share the same context. But someone from outside that context, seeing it for the first time, won't have a clue what it means. Again, there's not visual similarity between the sign and its referent. One more, the sign for joke. If I see it for the first time, I also don't see any resemblances. Another example, the sign some people in Tirana use for pension, right? We are referring to pension, meaning a person who withdraws money monthly in old age. But if I saw the sign for pension, brushing the check with the index finger, I wouldn't know what it's referring to. All of these are examples of arbitrary signs. On the other hand, the opposite can happen when I see a sign and immediately there's connection between it and the person, animal, or object it represents. Some would say direct link between form and meaning. Then, if that connection is clear, we call it an iconic sign, as shown here on the screen. What do we mean by an iconic sign? For example, the sign for film, used in the restroom context, clearly represents the image you see on the screen. Another example, the sign for doctor. When I see that movement, it instantly evokes the stethoscope. Exactly, and get it. Third example, the sign for gift. When I see it, I quickly visualize the ribbon of a present. The sign for grandmother. When I associate it with the traditional clothing often worn by elderly women in Albania, the mental image instantly matches the sign. Another example will be the sign for house, which, as you can see on the screen, clearly represents the object in question. The sign for temperature or fever, for instance, when I see it, I immediately picture a thermometer. It's easy to understand. That set of signs are what we call iconic signs. But careful, When talking about signs, it might seem like iconic ones are better or more important than arbitrary ones. That will be a mistake. Both are equally essential. In fact, I need both types to communicate in sign language. Deaf culture, whether in Albania or anywhere else in the world, uses and values both arbitrary and iconic signs. Still, it's true that iconic signs can be really useful and helpful when composing songs because they tend to be more visually appealing. The mental image easily connects with the sign. It's like I am drawing or painting a picture. Or you could even say it's like watching a movie at the cinema eating popcorns. That way, it becomes easier to reach the viewer's heart.